We'd like to welcome His Holiness RNSM FOI Mother to the final morning presentation of Festival of Inspiration. And we hope that he has been happy with our festival, because his presence here has made us very happy.
जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अस्थोतरुस्तश्री श्रीमान शिल भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नामाचार्य शिल हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासुदेव गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। श्री नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय। श्री जगन्नाथ पुरी धाम की जय। गंगामयी की जय। यमुनामयी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। समवेद भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा वृंदावन चंद्र की जय। गौ प्रेमानंदी। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Guru. Vishvam Yugante Vadapatra Eka
Vishvam Yugante Vatapatra Eka
Shete Smamaya Shishuram Gripana
Shete Smamaya Shishuram Gripana Satvam Mito Me Jatarena Natha Satvam Mito Me Jatarena Natha Katam Yasyo Tadae Tadasi Katam Yasyo Tadae Tadasi Vishwam Yugantam Vatapatra Meka Vishwam Yugante Vatapatra Eka Ete Sumaya Shishuam Kripana Ete Sumaya Shishuam Kripana
Sattvam Vrito Me Jatarena Natha
Sattvam Vrito Me Jatarena Natha
Khatam Yasyo Dada Etarasi
Katam Yasyo Tadae Tadasi
Vishvam Yugante Vatapatra Eka
Vishwam Yugante Vatapatra Eka
Shete Smamaya Shishuram Hripanaha
Shete Smamaya Shishuram Gripana
Sattvam Vrito Me Jatarena Natha
Sattvam Vrito Me Jatarena Natha
Katham Yasyo Dara Etadasi
Katam Yasyo Tadae Tadasi
Vishwam Yugante Vatapatra Eka
Vishwam Yugante Vatapatra Eka
Shete Swamaya Shishuram Vipana
Shete Smamaya Shishuram Gripana
Sattvam Vrito Me Jatarena Natha
Sattvam Vrito Me Jatarena Natha
Katam Yasodhara Eta Asai
Katam Yasyo Tadae Tadasi
Vishvam Yugate Naravratra Eka
Vishwam Yugante Vatapatra Eka
Vete Shmamaya Shishu Angripana
Shete Smamaya Shishuram Gripana
Ladies.
Sattvam Vrito Me Jatarena Natha
Sattvam Vrito Me Jatarena Natha
Katham Yashodra Etadasi
Katam Yasyo Tadae Tadasi
Vishwam Yugante Vatapatra Eka
Vishwam Yugante Vatapatra Eka
Shete Swamaya Shishuam Vipana
Shete Smamaya Shishuram Gripana Sattvam Vrito Me Jatarena Natha Katam Yasyo Tadae Tadasi Vishwam Yugante Vatapatra Eka Shete Smamaya Shishuram Gripana
Saha. That very person.
That very person
From you. Brita. Took birth. Mejatarena. By my abdomen. Not. O my Lord. Katam. How. New. Then. Yasya. Of whom. Udare. In the belly. Etat. This. Asi. did rest. Vishwam, universe. Yuga Ante, at the end of the millennium. Vattapatre, on the leaf of a banyan tree. Eka, alone. Shete sma, you lay down. Maya, possessing inconceivable powers. Shishu, a baby. Angri, your toe. Pana, licking. As the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you have taken birth from my abdomen. Oh my Lord, how is that possible for the Supreme One, who has in his belly all the cosmic manifestation? The answer is that it is possible. For at the end of the millennium, you lie down on a leaf of a banyan tree, and just like a small baby, you lick the toe of your lotus foot. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. At the time of dissolution, the Lord sometimes appears as a small baby lying on the leaf of a banyan tree, floating on the devastating water. Therefore, Devahuti suggests your lying down within the abdomen of a common woman like me is not so astonishing. You can lie down on the leaf of a banyan tree and float on the water of devastation as a small baby. It is not very wonderful, therefore, that you can lie down in the abdomen of my body. You teach us that those who are very fond of children within this material world and who therefore enter into marriage to enjoy family life with children can also have the Supreme Personality of Godhead as their child. And the most wonderful thing is that the Lord Himself licks His toe. That is the most wonderful. Since all the great sages and devotees apply all energy and all activities in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord, there must be some transcendental pleasure in the toes of His lotus feet. The Lord licks His toe to taste the nectar for which the devotees always aspire. Sometimes the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself wonders how much transcendental pleasure is within Himself. And in order to taste His own potency, He sometimes takes the position of tasting Himself. Lord Chaitanya is Krishna Himself, but He appears as a devotee to taste the sweetness of the transcendental mellow in Himself, which is tasted by Srimati Radharani, the greatest of all devotees. Om Jnananjamidandasya Jnananjanachakaya Chakshurmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaryam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Judhapadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Advaitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sakana Lalita Sri Vishakambitanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Manusha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 33, entitled Activities of Kapila, Text 4. I have been ordered to sit here before you by our mother, Malati Prabhu. Since it is Mother's Day, I surrender. It's like somebody is thinking about their mother. Mother's Day is a day of gratitude. I'm so grateful to be with all of you. Thank you. A story comes to my mind that I'd like to share with you about a beautiful lesson I learned from a mother. This was February of this year. Every year we go to Vrindavan, to the village of Bhadrasana, where our Bhaktivedanta hospital does seva for Vrijavasis, because the main reason for blindness in that area is untreated cataracts. And these Vrijavasis, it's amazing. When they come in, they're crying because they haven't been able to see the deity. They just want their eyes so that they can see the holy dham, see Thakurji, the deities in the holy dham, and render service. So these people come from very remote villages, and thousands come. It's usually we treat about 3,000 and about 1,000 surgeries. So in the meanwhile, I was walking around just seeing the people, and they're really crowded all over the place, because it's quite primitive facilities we can use. And I came to one room which had about 20 really old Vrijavasi ladies in it. And one, she was a very tiny lady and very old. She told me she was 85. but she looked about 185. I hope she doesn't hear this. She was really beat up. I'm small, I'm 5'6". She was probably about 4'7" or something like that. Very small. And her clothes were torn rags. Her face had such deep wrinkles. They weren't even wrinkles, they were like, kind of like earthquake crevices. She didn't have that much hair, but what was there really looked old. Anyway, she was sitting there, very skinny little lady. And she had this gigantic nose ring in her ear. In her nose. And she had these things hanging from her ears. She was a real village lady. And I sat down to her, next to her with a translator, and asked something about herself. She started crying. She told me that her husband recently died, that her 4 children recently died, that she had no way to maintain herself, and she was just living in a little hut, and somebody took away the hut. So she was just sleeping on the streets. She was really old, too. She said she had no one. There was no one in the world who cared about her. And she said that, and I have these 2 big cataracts in my eyes, so I can hardly see anything. She told me, I only have one prayer. I only have one prayer in my life. She said that by Radharani's mercy, by Krishna's mercy, they can take away at least one cataract. So then I will be able to make rotis and offer them to Srimati Radharani. That is the only prayer of my life. I just want to do some seva. And somebody said, well, don't you want, a place to stay and all that? Somebody will translate it. She said, I don't care about anything. I just want to make rotis for Radharani. And then she started weeping very incessantly, saying, and you people are going to take that cataract away from me. I cannot tell you how indebted I am to you. And she was so happy. She got up and started singing this Brijabasi song and told all the other ladies in the room to get up and dance with her. And she was doing this really mystical dance. She was dancing and everybody else got up dancing. And then she came out of the room dancing and went into the main lobby where there's all these people waiting, hundreds of people. And interestingly, one of my good friends, his mother was visiting India. She's a multimillionaires, and she was a secretary in her house. I've been there. She has photographs of herself with Eisenhower, with Kennedy, with Johnson, with Ford, with Nixon, with Reagan, with Clinton, everybody. And Paul Newman and Elizabeth Taylor, all these people. She was a state senator. She ran for the federal government, for the Senate. And I saw there was a picture of her framed in her house. Do you remember Look magazine? The front cover of Look magazine said that she was the most powerful, prominent female politician in America. This was in the 1970s. And she was in President Carter's cabinet in the White House for atomic energy or something like that. Anyways, a very powerful lady, and an aristocratic lady. She's about 83 years old. So she just came to see me there. And she's looking around, and this Brajabasi lady who wanted to make rotis for Radharani, she came out dancing. She's in rags, really tiny. And she came up to this American lady, and in the Brajabasi language, ordered her to dance. And she was singing this wild Brajabasi song. And it was incredible. She started, look, this lady was a small lady, but she was really small. She was looking up and going like that. And my friend's mother started dancing with her. It's actually incredible. They were dancing together all over the lobby. And all these other people were dancing, and people were taking these. It's on video, actually. She was in bliss. She was this lady told me it later. She said, I never saw anyone so happy. This is a millionaire, this big, influential politician, saying she never saw anyone so happy as this person who was homeless, whose husband and children all died. But she was happy because she was grateful that she would be able to see through one eye so that she could make her rotis for Srimati Radha. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us this prayer. Na dhanam na janam na sundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamaye mama janmani janmanishwari bhavata bhaktirovaishaki. I do not want wealth, nor do I want the beauty of the opposite sex, nor do I want fame or prestige, followers, scholarship. I don't even want liberation from suffering. Only, my Lord, I wish to serve you in any way you desire, birth after birth after birth. Since a few months ago in February when this happened, things go ways that you don't like them to go. His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu gave a magnificent seminar the day before yesterday where he was teaching us how to manage our expectations. As we expect things, and the nature of the material world is you don't always get what you expect. In fact, material energy very scrutinizingly, deliberately orchestrates the entire universe just to frustrate your expectations. It's the way material nature works. It's been that way since Brahma came out of the navel of Vishnu, and it'll be that way until he goes back in. So, Adhyatmakadi, Daivakadi, Bautika. There's different kinds of ways we can suffer. The way people treat us, the way our bodies and mind treat us, the way material nature and elements treat us. And then I think back of that old lady, that Brajabasi. I'm going to get her name because it's all recorded in our records. And she was in bliss. She was dancing in ecstasy. She was sharing her happiness with the healthy millionairesses of America. Materially, she had nothing. She lost everything. But she was grateful. She was grateful just for the opportunity to do the most simple service. And I think how many opportunities I could make rotis all day long if I want to. So could any of us. So what do we really have to complain about? But yet the tendency of Maya is to distract us from true devotion by finding faults with others, by finding faults with ourselves, by finding faults with the universe. This fault-finding tendency is just a way that Maya gives us an excuse to forget the blessings that we have. Only a grateful heart can actually access those blessings. This is a simple lesson of a mother. And Krishna descends into this world, and by his own example, the supreme Suhradam Sarvabhutanam, the friend of everyone, Janmadya Shayataha, the source of everything that exists. But he shows by his example, in each of his avatars, what we should value in our life. And one of the very important features is how the Lord magnifies the love of his mothers and his gratitude toward his mothers. Today we're reading about Kapila Dev. His gratitude to his mother. Now this is one of the greatest Srimad Bhagavatam classes ever given. We only get the essence that Shukadev Goswami has given us. But actually, Kapila Dev sat for days with his mother, just speaking out of gratitude and kindness. She brought him into the world and he was reciprocating. What an incredible Srimad Bhagavatam class. We've been reading it. The greatest sages, rishis, paramhamsas, have been reading these words for millions of years. And he was simply speaking to his mother. There wasn't any crowds. There wasn't any sages. Lord Ram, when he got the news that he would be banished from Ayodhya to live in the forest for 14 years, nobody in Ayodhya understood what happened. Only Kaikeyi, Dasarat, and Ram got the message. That was early in the morning, the day he was supposed to be coronated as the Prince Regent, the next king. The whole town was celebrating. The moment they had been waiting for, Ram would be coronated. So Ram left his father's palace, where Kaikeyi was, and walked to his mother's chambers. And Kaushalya, with her motherly love, she didn't sleep all night. She was doing pujas and yajnas and mantras and tantras and yantras and mudras and pujas all night long, just for the blessings of her son to shower upon him. She was so happy. Ram's happiness was her happiness. And when Ram came into the room, she jumped up with tears of joy and said, Ram, this is the most auspicious, this is the most wonderful day in my life. Today you will be coronated. Ram Ram's heart was broken. He had to tell her the news. He said, my mother, I'm going to the forest for 14 years. Bharat will be the king. It was like a lightning bolt in her heart. She could not believe what she heard. The contrast from the happiest moment to her life, and a moment later, it was the most devastating, miserable moment of her life. And Ram explained everything. She was very firm. No, forget your father, forget Kaikeyi, you must be. And she was arguing with him like anything. And she knew philosophy. And she was a mother. But Ram, he said, for the purpose of Dharma, I must follow what I've been asked to do. And then she was saying, well, what about me? I will die. And finally, her last argument, if you persist on going, then I'm going with you. But he told her, no, it's your dharma to take care of my father. I'll be back, only 14 years. It will pass very quickly. She pleaded in every possible way. But ultimately, when she saw that Ram was determined, in her heart, which was suffering bitterly, she wanted to give Ram strength. So she appeared to be very strong. And she said, yes, my son, you are doing the right thing. I bless you. And she gave him instructions of how to live in the forest. And she encouraged him. And then when he left the room, she collapsed. It's a beautiful story because 14 years later, after Ram had rescued Sita, I don't have time to tell all the stories in between. They were on a Pushpaka, Ravana's personal airplane. It was quite an airplane. And parks and lakes and trees. And no engine. No safety belts. No vomit bags. Just chant a mantra and then say the name of where you want to go and anywhere in the universe. That's technology. So Ram told Hanuman, he said, Bharat has been ruling in the absence of my father for the last 14 years. Go there in advance, Hanumanji, and tell him I'm coming. And if you sense even the slightest particle of sadness in his heart, that he's going to have to give up the throne that he has been ruling for 14 years, then you tell me. Because even the greatest Paramahamsas and the greatest sages, if they have all this power, all this wealth, all this everything, they're inevitably going to get some attachment. If you sense the slightest speck of attachment, I will go back to the forest and I will let him stay there. This was wrong. So Hanuman jumped ahead of the Pushpaka, went to Nandigram where Bharat was living, and he told him Ram is coming. Bharat cried in ecstasy. And Hanuman understood he has pure love for Ram. He wanted nothing but the pleasure of Ram. And Bharat was saying, where is he? Where is he? sent messengers to Ayodhya to come to greet Ram in Nandigram, little forest outskirt place. Bharat kept asking, where is he? Where is he? Hanuman said, he's coming from this direction, from the sky. And a few seconds later, but I don't see him. He's coming. I don't see him. And finally, in the distance, Hanuman screamed out, there is Ram, he's coming. And Bharat was so happy. When Pushpaka landed, immediately Bharat ran to Ram, and Ram ran to Bharat, and they embraced. And then all the people of Ayodhya came to greet him. And Ram saw, standing alone, a little distance in a corner, was Kausalya, his mother. She was very elderly. She was just standing alone, looking at Ram and crying. And Sri Ram left everybody, all the royalty, all the dignitaries, and went to his mother to take the dust of her feet, and bow down to her, and thank her. Kausalya lifted him up and embraced her. This is how Ram began his rule over the world. Devaki, we know the austerities she performed in her motherly love for Krishna. It was her motherly love for Krishna, for God as her child, in her heart. To serve him, to facilitate him, she was willing to have 6 children who were murdered right in front of her eyes, and she kept having children. Why would anyone do that? It was her love. Krishna was supposed to be her child. She was ready to endure any difficulty to facilitate that. And then he's born. And the same night he leaves. Hare Krishna. You go through all that, you're expecting some happiness. When the child finally comes, he showed his 4-arm form, then he became a little baby on Devaki's request. She had such motherly love. She was saying, Kamsa is an enemy of Vishnu. If he sees you with 4 arms, then he's going to know you're Vishnu. That's a mother. So disguise this form. Become a baby. And he told her, yes, take me to Nanda Gokul. And for the next 11 or so years, she didn't see him at all. There's a beautiful story in Srimad Bhagavatam where when Krishna was living in Dwarka, Devaki was offering her love to the Lord, and the Lord was offering his love to Devaki. And Krishna wanted to show his gratitude to his mother. What can I do for you? And as a mother, she said, these 6 children who were murdered right in front of my eyes, I don't know where they went, the souls of those children. But I long to offer them my motherly love, even once. And she said, I heard the story of how you brought Sandipani Muni's dead son back to life. So can you bring my sons too? Krishna said, come Balaram, let us find them. Krishna Balaram, they went to Sutala Loka, where Bali Maharaj was reigning as the king. And Bali Maharaj